Shall we play a game?
We got Star Wars Unlimited. We got classic Star Wars games. We got old school D&D, independent RPGs, mini painting, Warhammer, of course, tons of other games. But first, we're gonna need some coffee here on Board Barista Productions.
Okay. Cold open time. So yeah, how you been?
I slipped a disc Sunday. So Monday I was a little I was coming off of a high, or put on a high, because they injected me with some steroids and took a bunch of other medications, and now it's starting to wear off. They're saying, oh, it's just a muscle spasm, but they decided to attack two of the major nerves going down into the legs. So
okay, I guarantee to our viewers who are watching it now, this is not a show about back issues. This is a show about retro game reviews, going through my copious amounts. It's just me, your board barista Fen, and Tanya here talking nerd to you every Thursday. We're just, before we dive too deep into the back issue things, I just wanted to make sure we did a show intro. But yeah, no, I went to the, before we dive into this week's episode, I went to the chiropractor because I've been having back issues, and I feel like $1 million now that I've got snap, crackled, and pop. She grabbed hold of my ankles and tugged, and they could hear me out in the waiting room with the whole like moan of like painful pleasure release. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going back in 2 more weeks. You got back issues, like you can fix it with stuff, with medication, or you can have it like get some work done. Get some work done.
I do it all.
Oh,
my back has been screwed up actually since boot camp in 2002. It didn't start getting addressed until last year. So last year was what, 24? So 22 years I've had back issues where it finally just accumulated into a painful, legs not functioning issue. So, but gaming helps.
it does. And so tonight's gaming books, we're still deep into the Star Wars West End Games RPG books. Tonight we've got Tales of the Jedi.
Ooh.
Yeah, one of the source books for the game. This, get my notes. So this is one of the few ones I did not buy at B. Dalton Bookseller in the mall in Presque Isle, Maine. I actually got this just outside of the mall in Bangor, Maine. So I can't remember what it was originally called, if it was originally a Borders or something else, but now I believe it's a BAM, like BAM Entertainment, Books A Million.
Books A Million.
So it's that big bookstore before you get into the wasteland that apparently now is the Bangor Mall, where there's not really stores. There's a lot of like other business
locations.
There's what?
They moved location to where Bed Bath Beyond was.
Oh, the bookstore went to Bed Bath & Beyond?
Yep.
Bed Bath & Beyond, which wasn't even in the mall to begin with, was it?
Nope, it was over where Sally's beauty salon is. It's that little strip off the edge, which has a Hobby Lobby across the street now.
Oh, it's across from Hobby Lobby. Okay, yeah, I know where it is. Yeah. This is the point where if I had more time to edit, so if we actually like had people like, share, and subscribing, so we can grow the channel, so I don't have to work a day job. If I didn't have to work a day job, we would actually have like a map of Bangor overlaid in this video. But I have a day job, so if you actually want to know what we're talking about, just Google Bangor, Maine bookstore and Hobby Lobby, and you'll figure it all out. Again, not the topic of this channel, but ever since Laura stopped doing these with me, we just ramble. Oh, speaking of rambling, what you drinking tonight? You got a drink you're going, or?
I got I'm cutting the cran raspberry, Ocean Spray can raspberry in half with water because it's less sweet that way.
All right.
I am doing my Stitchy Grinch.
I've got my dad established 2025, my Christmas present for after Sylvia's born, and inside this, it's melted because it's hot here, but I've got a D20 ice cube mold, and I rolled an 18 when I put the ice cube into here. So I'm gonna add some Colin McGregor scotch because it's been one of those days at work. So I'm scotching it up. So if I start slipping into my Scottish accent, forgive me. It happens when I drink scotch. But yeah, to talk about the actual thing you're here for, the thing you clicked on, the Tales of the Jedi source book. So in the old EU Legends timeline, the comic books for Tales of the Jedi were set 4,000 years before the events of the Battle of Yavin. It's also the time period where Darth Revan, who, if you played the Tales of the Jedi video games, he's the main character in all of those. So this is that time period, 4,000 years before Luke is the Tales of the Jedi. And there's a lot of comic books, a lot of really good artwork was done for this. And the artwork is actually used in this source book because they didn't have any motion picture photos or sketches that people done. They were like, let's just use the art straight out of the comic book. So you got a lot of the stats in here for the main characters from the comic books. You got some new force powers for both the Jedi and the Sith that were introduced during this time period. New aliens, creatures, basically anything Star Wars that you want to have in your game. If you want to run a Tales of the Jedi era stuff, you got all the Star Wars cool stuff to add in there for stats. You can even use some of this for like relics. Like people find like an old lost Jedi artifact and pull stuff out of here. Yeah, I like the archaic tech, like the primitive before it got polished. To show 4,000 years worth of we got some advancements in space technology. The hyperdrives are all a lot slower. Yeah, and there's also in this, there's a deeper dive into running Jedi and Sith characters with some optional rules for falling to the dark side. And there's my favorite, never got to see in a movie or a live action TV series. My favorite Star Wars race is actually in this book. Okay.
Which race?
Miraluka. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It's Miraluka. They are near human, so they look humanoid, look fully human, except their eyes are milky white and don't function. They actually see through the Force. So it's kind of like in the Rebels TV series when Kanan Jarrus loses his ability to see because he gets blinded and he starts seeing through the Force. Yeah. You have an entire race of humans that do that from birth. There's also another solo mission that you can run through to teach people how to play the game or just to learn how to play the game yourself in this, where you play a Jedi exploring a Sith temple. Now, I have to apologize to Tanya. I gave her the option to either run through that scenario or the one in the core rulebook before we started reviewing all this stuff and before we started the Star Wars RPG. So that way I'd have somebody else on the crew who's played this game and taken it seriously. I'm talking about you, Morlock. Can't use his real name anymore. He wants me to use that. But we all Morlock. Yeah, okay, Morlock. I can't even pronounce it right. I'm just gonna rat him out. Josh. But yeah, so I'd have somebody else that is familiar with the game to help teach, because it's hard to teach a new game system when your game master is remote, and nice to have somebody who's like a little familiar with it to help everybody else on hand. Now, I know I said that I liked having the comic book art in here, but the problem is they probably should have gone over the comic book art and touched it up a bit, because you can clearly tell from like the scans when there's text bubbles. The text is really as a blur to it, where it's like, oh, I can hardly read that, or that looks really cheap. But again, you still get some like really cool like artwork in here, some of the old ships and stuff, but it's a little bit of a detractor. Yeah, and it's not a critique of this book, but it's a critique of other ones. Like this one actually has like, because they changed how hyperspace works, because the hyperspace routes and the drives aren't as good, 4,000 years later as they were back then. They had like the table of like, okay, this is how long to get from here to here. And they don't do that enough in a bunch of the source books. Probably if I get my hands on some of the other ones that I plan to get my hands on that I'm missing from my collection, I'll find all the navigation charts that I'm looking for. But I'm kind of like, there should have been more in some other places. But no, that's Tales of the Jedi. It's just a really good book. It opens up a new era of play. I know the Star Wars West End Games game was kind of designed to be played Rebels versus Imperials, so playing during the time of the movies. And a lot of it was really set focusing between Empire and Return of the Jedi, because there's that big, there's a three-year time jump between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and then there's like 16 months in between Return of the Jedi and Empire. So you got like this 4.5 years of when the rebellion was like, we're at our peak, to the Empire has fallen, and then you got the New Republic timeline, which a lot of the stuff that's been officially published, was officially published for the West End Games, was the battle for Coruscant, and the first, like, I think we get up to like the first 10 years of the novels timeline from like, the Empire has been defeated. It's 10 years later. Han and Leia's kids are like 5 and 3. And Luke is starting his Jedi Academy. Like that's the last like timeline you get Sourcebook before they lost the license, was the Jedi Academy series. But having the chance to be like, let's rewind the clock and do a time period where there are like tons of Jedi, tons of Sith running around, and we can, instead of focusing on Rebels versus Imperials, we can actually have like everybody has the Force, everybody has lightsabers. Let's go have, everybody gets to be a Jedi, everybody gets to be a Sith. Let's go have our lightsaber battles. And if you're playing that kind of game, you definitely want to have this. Maybe do some custom DM stuff, or you make stuff that's kind of like halfway in between, so you can get that High Republic era that Disney canon now has, which is, the Jedi are everywhere, the Sith are no more, kind of thing, and the Jedi are basically like the intergalactic police force that they're doing in like the Acolyte series. But my personal preference, I love to play just after Return of the Jedi, the fight, like we're doing the fight to take Coruscant era in Spandex Squadrons. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out. There'll be a link to the playlist at the end of this video. I was going back through earlier tonight, just putting links in for all the Star Wars content, so we can be like, hey, check this out. But so for you, if you were to had the choice between playing a Jedi character or a Sith character, what would you choose?
I think I'd actually go with the dark side and the Sith character. I think I could go really evil without dying.
All right. Now here's a follow-up question. I want the chat to chime in on these in the comments below. Do you think, as a player, it is easier for you to be invested in the story or in the storyline of a game if you're playing the hero or you're playing the villains.
I think easier to be invested as playing the villain, because what is the storyline there? It's most of the time created by a villain, isn't it?
Okay, can you repeat that? You broke up a little bit.
Oh. I believe in the villain creating the storyline, being the reason for the storyline to begin with. Because without a villain, would there be any strife or anything needed for the good guys to come through? If everything's going well, then...
So you're saying if it's easier as a player to be playing like the bad guys, playing like the evil campaign than it is to play the heroic campaign?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the whole reason why I asked is it's a book we're going to talk about when we get through the Star Wars stuff and into the books on theory I've got. Okay. It's called Proactive Gaming, Proactive Role-Playing. Basically, because you're playing the villain and you get to do a bunch of actions and the DM is the one reacting to what the players are doing, like the players have more fun. They're more invested in it because it's the whole thing of like, you're not, it's almost like when you're playing the hero, you're playing also like the victim, because the DM is going to have some big bad evil guy or something that's going to come along that's going to ruin like the status quo lifestyle. You're just a peasant farmer hanging out with your aunt and uncle, and next thing you know, some droids show up and they've got the plans to, like, the rebels are looking for, and then the stormtroopers show up and they kill your aunt and uncle. So of course now you got to run away with the crazy space wizard. And whereas the whole thing of like, well, we're just a bunch of bad guys. We're a bunch of orcs. There's a village over there. Let's go kill everybody and take the treasure. We got nothing holding us back. What are you going to do, DM?
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing of like I was talking with Josh during our last game, at the end of our last D&D game, actual D&D 5th edition. The question I asked to him was like, okay, so what's my character's motivation? Why am I doing this? And he said, fame and fortune. I'm like, no. I meant my character's character, because I'm playing a hookah, which is basically it's an Ewok with a personality with a personality disorder. Whenever I take on a persona, I believe fully that I am that person, and nothing is going to make me stop believing that I am this like German vampire hunter, unless I access my rage, or this part of the story ends and I find a new story that inspires my next new personality. So as soon as I rage, I'm going to turn into like Toll Booth Willie and be like, oh, you know what? Have a go bud. Okay. Like full on Christian Bale, like, you are in my space. Angry teddy bear. But that's breaking characters. Just my character being like, I can't deal with this situation. New personality. Like I am playing an Ewok with multiple personality disorder.
Yep.
It's cool. Like for me, that's fun. But Josh's campaign is he's doing Sesame Street. Like the vampire is the Count, but I am going to call it Strahd because I am believing that I am playing Raven. I am a character in Ravenloft. It does not matter if people say Strahd. I say it's the Count. I'm like, yes, the demon Strahd. I will stick with it no matter what. The Cookie Monster reference, when you say Cookie Monster, there's a part of me, like, I might be like, I found a better character I want my character to pretend to be, and that's Fozzie Bear. Like, if I'm going, it would be more like my personality would shift. So instead of it being like I'm playing as a serious, like, German actor, it's Fozzie Bear, the vampire hunter. Like, I'm having fun with this character because I get to mess with the DM. But for like everyone else, I'm like, why the heck did we show up in this town? Like, do we have, like, is there a reason really? Like, once we find out the town's infested with vampires, is there a reason for us to stay? I mean, yeah, my character's a vampire hunter. He's going to stay and hunt the vampire, who he thinks is Strahd. But is everyone else's character like this? Do the lives of these people in town matter to us? Does defeating this Muppet vampire like fulfill some like back part of our backstory? And it's that whole thing of like, if we're evil, we don't have to worry about that. We're just going to go do evil. But if we're heroes, wouldn't we want to do a heroic thing and have like a strong motivating reason behind it? And part of the reason why I'm bringing this up is because that's one of the reasons why I like Star Wars so much, is when you design your game, there is that clear dichotomy. There's not the 9 different alignments. There's just good guys, bad guys, and lasers and explosions. I'm playing the good guys. We have to go out and stop the Empire. Or we are the Empire. We have to go out and stop the rebellion. And you get a little bit of player agency behind that with coming up with the whole thing of like, why are you fighting the Empire? Why are you fighting the Sith? Why are you fighting the Jedi? Why are you doing this? Is a question I'm like really trying to wrap my brain around, because I would know once we finish up the current season of Spandex Squadron, I really want everybody to be thinking about like, what is your characters going to go do after this, so I can design the next game to be like, okay, everybody's got these plot points that they want to solve. And I do have a few people who have lightsabers. I do have people who are sensitive in the Force, and having Tales of the Jedi to expand my Jedi knowledge in the game allows me to be able to place some cool stuff in there for those characters to find. But I know I've been rambling, so I'm gonna shut up, let Tanya have some moments to talk and chime in her. At this point, it's more than 2 cents. It's more like $1.50. So, the floor is yours.
Awesome. So I noticed in the Tales of the Jedi, there was character sheets in the back for companion to the Jedi.
Yes. Yes.
That would have opened up a lot more doors for our spandex group.
There's a lot more. There's some extra options in there. I know I wanted to keep it kind of simple with, and I like the fact that we kept it simple with you guys all just using the character sheets, they're templates from the core book. So that might be something to let everybody kind of like have a chance after Spandex Squadron is done to rework their characters, give you all some extra skill dice that you can put around in places and flesh things out a little bit more.
Yeah, that's accumulating skill dice would be nice. It's a little hard.
It has always been an issue with the Star Wars role-playing game, is because you don't level up and have everything across the board go up at the same time, accumulating skills to be more versatile sometimes it feels like a little bit of a slog, but it really does end up like imparting on the whole like party role, and like your character is the character that's going to be doing these kind of things. And that's why I gave you guys all the bonus extra dice to be able to put in the ship combat skills, just to be able to be like, okay, you get some extra dice in these skills, so you don't have to blow your starting skill points on stuff.
No, Morlock, he loaded up on his con.
Well, it's like every time he's leveled up, he's throwing stuff into it. And yeah, it is going to come back. That min-maxing is going to come back to bite him in the ass, because, well,
he's doing pretty good on conning his way out of a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, he is. It's just, there's gonna be the moment where it's just like, nah, dude, like you're lying through your teeth, but they have the evidence to not believe the lie. And yeah, no, it's done. So I'm letting him have some fun. I'm letting him have more of that leash. So when I yank on it, it's gonna hurt. So
it's really easy to bring people into the game itself, finding spots for them, because there's 3 main ones: Morlock, Sam, and I, that are consistent with the gaming.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like an easy thing where I'm doing it like there's an episode of the week. Every week is a new episode, and I don't really want to have it be like cliffhangers. So if I try to keep everything self-contained as one episode a week, then we can have everyone else kind of like guest star in as their scheduling availability happens. So we can, but I really want everybody to try to be in person for the finale. So we have like all hands on deck, because I'm bringing a bunch of game aids with me, some stuff. So it's going to be epic. Like I'm bringing the cameras with me and everything. So
we're going to set aside that Monday, the whole day. Going to put out a shout out. We're going to do that potentially tomorrow. I will type up a shout out in the group chat saying, hey, this day is a barbecue day, a game day. Please, if you could ask your employers to give you that day off, that'd be awesome. Come join us. Bring some family that wants to play. So please come and join us.
Yeah.
And we can have fun. Both boys will be present. So, yeah.
All right. Well, that is that for this episode of Retro Review. I know we went a little bit off topic on a few different areas. Hopefully everybody kind of stayed tuned in. We're going to say peace.
Peace.
Hey everybody, thanks for staying till the end of the episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at Board Barista Productions. And if you want to support us, Patreon link at the bottom.